Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Well, hello, everybody. It's your host, Lynda Lippin, and here we are for the season 1 finale of the Pilates Goddess podcast. This is episode 90, and I can't believe that I consistently produced 2 episodes a week, basically for the last year. I am going to take off the months of June and July, and I will be back with you at the beginning of August. And I have some fabulous interviews coming up. And you guys are still emailing me and DMing me show ideas and topic ideas. And I'm very excited about that. And I would love it if you would keep doing that. I will still be posting on all my socials. I will be posting some highlights of some of my favorite episodes of this past season, and I really look forward to season 2. So anyhow, today I would like to talk about age and Pilates. And this discussion was prompted by, yes, an email from a listener who let me know that she had discovered the podcast when she wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive into Pilates, understanding Pilates, and teaching Pilates. And then she asked me if I thought that it was an unattainable goal to become a fully comprehensively certified Pilates teacher when you're in your 60s. And I say, no, that is a totally attainable goal. And you have many more years where you could be enjoying teaching Pilates and having a better understanding of it for your own body as well. I also always like to say, too, that Pilates can be started by anyone at any age and in almost any physical condition. I have worked with people with Parkinson's disease who came in wheelchairs. I have worked with 92-year-olds who were still golfing and were having a lot of back and neck pain and arthritis. I have worked with clients of pretty much every age from about 8 to, I think, 96. And all of those clients really enjoyed their sessions and felt and functioned better as a result of doing Pilates. And this is what I want you to consistently remember, that at any age, we can start to feel and function better. That at any age, at any time, at any day, at any moment, you can decide that you want to try something new or different for yourself and your body, and you will have results from that. So a lot of times, I'm on a lot of osteoporosis Facebook groups and Reddit groups, and what I hear so much of and what makes me so sad is that so many people get the diagnosis of osteoporosis or osteopenia, and they hear the phrase fracture risk and fall risk, and all of a sudden they don't want to do anything. And that is basically the worst thing you can do when your bones are weakening. And in fact, when your bones are weakening, that's when you want to be lifting the heavy objects and doing the standing and doing more work. Working on your balance, working on vestibular issues, working on cardiovascular health, working on all of those things. And in fact, I have a lot of clients who are in their late 70s, and all of them, through consistently doing my Strong Bones Pilates mat programming at home, where we also use light weights, we use bands and tubing, or the Type 4 device from Physical Mind, which I'm a huge fan of, magic circles, rollers, and body weight. these women have been able to stop the progression of their osteoporosis and, in fact, improve their bone density. Now, not always such a huge improvement that suddenly they're not having osteoporosis, but even a 1 to 2% improvement when your bones have been weakening every year, I think is a big deal, especially since most of my clients have not added any medications or infusions to their osteoporosis protocols. Now, I am not averse to that. I'm a fan of the Western medicine, as well as the Eastern medicine and other things. I think we should do things that have been shown to actually work. Conversely, if you are diagnosed with something like osteoporosis or low bone density and you decide to do nothing, you're not going to get any better. Okay, you will progress into weaker bones. You will progress into weaker muscles. You will possibly progress to a place where you can't really hold your balance anymore. So I know, like, we all go online and we go on TikTok and we go on Instagram and even on Facebook Reels, and we see all of these people doing these fucking crazy exercises, right? You see, like, I'm 90 years old and here I am in the CrossFit gym, like dragging plates behind my body when I'm crawling along in a plank and doing deadlifts of, 2.5 times my body weight. And look how fabulous I am. And let's face it, number one, most like 90 something year olds aren't doing that shit. And number two, yay for the people who are and who can continue that. But some of those are not really attainable goals for most human beings. Okay. So, what I say to you is, look, if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you know you need to move a little bit more, then today is a good day to start that. Today is a good day to start moving some more. The only way that your balance will get better is if you practice balancing. The only way that you will get stronger in your bones or your muscles, and I consider the cardiovascular system the same because your heart is a muscle that you're training. The only way to get them stronger is to use them. You need to be standing. You need to be weight bearing as much as you can. You need to be carrying those grocery bags. You need to be picking up your cat and your grandchildren. If you are having problems with balancing and you really do feel like you're a fall risk, then there are specific exercises and specific protocols that you can do that will help you improve those skills. Once again, these things are all skills, and we can improve those skills. And this is what I always try to impart to my clients, whether they are Pilates teachers, whether they are, my ladies with osteoporosis and chronic pain, is that if you use things and you do the work, you will get better. You will get stronger. You will feel better. Your balance will improve. Your strength will improve. And frankly, I have a lot of clients who do the infusions of Prolia and different medications for their osteoporosis, and they still need to exercise to, again, maintain their bone density. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit for a moment about some of the exercise programs that are out there for osteoporosis. One of them is called OsteoStrong. Now, OsteoStrong is a franchise, just know that. And they have specific machines that they use that basically allow people to load their bones in effective ways, right? And you're always accompanied or overseen by one of their trainers. But there's a few issues with OsteoStrong. Number one, some folks have actually fractured while doing the OsteoStrong program because they were pushing past what their bones could handle. And that probably has a lot to do with how their instructors or trainers were trained themselves. But that puts up a red flag for me because then it means that it's going to be very location dependent as to whether you're getting a good enough instructor to keep you safe and effectively increase your bone density. Okay. The second thing is it ain't cheap. And for most people, it is cost prohibitive to do it. So that's OsteoStrong. Now, the second is that I see a lot online is Dr. Fishman's 12 yoga poses. So basically, what this doctor did was he took the system of yoga and he pulled out 12 exercises that are safe and effective. Some are standing, some are like triangle and maybe with a little bit of rotation or side bend. Some are, on the floor, bridging and things like that. And basically modified the yoga poses so that you're doing weight-bearing exercises and not going into contraindicated movements for osteoporosis. Now, I have other podcasts in the series, and I will link in the show notes, okay, where I go through all of the things that you can and cannot do when you have osteoporosis. So, yes, not that, if you love yoga, great. Those yoga poses are going to be fine for you. But know that there's no secret sauce there. There's nothing special necessarily there. They are just yoga poses that happen to be effective for balance, for full body strengthening, and that are modified for osteoporosis. In the same way, I teach in my Strong Bones Pilates programming, whether you do it online, whether you do privates, whether you do the online classes, or frankly, if you're in New York City and you want to see me in a studio, what I do for my Strong Bones clients is Pilates that is modified for osteoporosis. So if you think about a lot of the Pilates exercises, there's a lot of loaded forward flexion. There's a lot of head up. There's a lot of rolling through the rib cage. All of that is contraindicated for osteoporosis. So I have basically come up with ways of modifying every single exercise and not really in necessarily easier ways. And in fact, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a very quick 15-minute osteoporosis friendly exercise program that you can do yourself at home just using a mat and a non-rolling chair. Okay, just a mat and a non-rolling chair so that you can see and experience what it feels like to do exercise and move your body in a way that's safe for your weakening bones. Okay, because there's so much you can do. And a lot of it's really hard. So for those of you who like the hard exercise, who feel like you can't do that anymore because you're older or you're weaker, bullshit. You can do that work. You just might need to modify it a little bit, and you may need to start a little bit slowly and kind of work your way back into the harder things. Okay. But by changing our body's relationship to gravity, by changing our body's positioning, by adding weights in different positions, adding resistance in different positions, you can have a really, really safe, effective exercise program that takes your bones into consideration and that works on your balance and all the other things. Okay. There's also a Pilates program called Buff Bones. And that's another great program. Again, it's modified exercise for osteoporosis. So, whatever you decide to do yourself, just have the basic guidelines, okay, of what's contraindicated movement and go from there. Now, in terms of learning to teach Pilates or learning to teach exercise generally, here's my recommendations, no matter what age you are. And frankly, I have found that the students who are older, who I've worked with in terms of doing teacher training and doing support for new teachers, the teachers who are older tend to be a lot better. And they tend to be better in terms of attention span, in terms of just ability to understand things, to break things down. And because we've been through a little bit more in our own bodies, we tend to be a little more empathetic as well as sympathetic to folks who are experiencing pain or low bone density or arthritis or other things going on in their systems. Okay. Now, if you are going to bother doing a Pilates certification and you're in your 50s or 60s, please do a good comprehensive certification. If you're going to spend the time and money, do it well and learn it well. I really recommend that you find a full system comprehensive certification. My preference is always classical, but there's contemporary certifications out there that are wide ranging and that are also very good. Balanced Body, Bozzy, there are certs out there in the more contemporary realm that will still take you through the full system of Pilates and teach you a lot about anatomy, physiology, and how to teach human beings. Okay. I recommend that if you've been doing Pilates for a while and you have a teacher who you love or a studio that you love, number one, if that studio does teacher training, do that. Okay. If the studio doesn't do teacher training, talk to the teachers who you love and find out where they were certified. Oftentimes, if it's a national program, you will find a studio branch of it somewhere near you. Okay. But it may very well be a more local program, which is fine. I see a lot of folks worrying now about, should I go for the big, equipment manufacturer programs like your Stott and your Balanced Body, or is the local program at my home studio, which I love, great as well? And my answer to you is going to be that prior to the equipment manufacturers running their own teacher training programs, partly so that they could sell more equipment to the teachers who graduate, prior to then, there weren't any of those big like national and international programs. You literally apprenticed and learned from somebody, usually who was maybe 1 to 2 degrees of separation from Joseph Pilates himself, and, taught you in their little studio. So, although I know some fabulous teachers who teach for the huge, national and international programs. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I'm just saying that they weren't always a thing. And you can get just as good and sometimes even better education at a small local studio where you can spend more time. Okay. And frankly, then you're going to want to do continuing education. So I always say, get the most comprehensive certification that you can. Okay, not just mat and reformer, get mat and the full system, all of the equipment, all the apparatus. And then you have the opportunity to do continuing education with other systems, with other brands of apparatus, with other teachers, and you can have a great time doing that. And that's when you can kind of learn the other stuff. So if you're retiring or if you're just, over that kind of quote unquote middle age hump and you want to learn something new and do something that maybe you can travel with, maybe you can make a little money with, then yeah, you are not too old to learn to teach Pilates. I also recommend that you steer clear of any program that insists that you physically have to fully do every exercise in the system, including the super advanced ones, in order to graduate. Especially if you've got an older body. I know there's exercises that I could do 35 years ago that I am not doing now, right? I think you've all heard about my neck situation. Like, I don't do any of the inversions anymore. I don't even do rolling like a ball anymore because it hurts my neck and my shoulder because I have a big degeneration in my cervical spine. So, like for me, if I were now at 56 deciding that I wanted to teach Pilates, I couldn't do a program that insisted that I had to physically be able to do those exercises. And once again, I can do those exercises, but I shouldn't because they're not good for me. Now, in all of the teacher training programs I have worked with, there have been always allowances made for people's physical issues. As long as you know what the exercise looks like, where it comes in the system, and how to actually teach it, that's the important thing. That's much more important than you being able to perfectly physically reproduce that shape. So, whatever age you are, I encourage you to do more Pilates. And if you've done some Pilates that you don't love, go to a different studio, try different teachers, do different things. And finally, although I love Pilates, like love, and most of my clients do as well, some people just don't. And that's okay. All right. Some people just don't love it. I don't understand how they could not love it, but they don't. For many years in my life, I really didn't love yoga. Lately, I kind of do love yoga. Again, I do very modified yoga and I do it very much in the kind of style of Pilates in many ways, but now I don't mind it. Now I'm willing to kind of sit into a position and feel a pose and kind of see what that does in my body and my breathing. Also, with my recovery from my torn left meniscus repair, I need to be doing the stretching and I need to be doing the single leg balancing. So all of the lunges and all of the warriors and all of that are really, really helpful for me and my body. And just as an aside, I wanted to let you guys know, since you're not going to hear from me for a couple of months, that today, and I am now in week 5, post-operation on my knee, that I was out this afternoon and I am back to my old walking pace. Because for the first time in months, I was passing people on the sidewalk. while carrying some groceries. And I haven't been able to do that with my knee in so long that I was very, very excited. So, my friends, thank you so, so much for listening to and supporting the Pilates Goddess podcast. I really, really appreciate you listening, you sharing, you reaching out, you leaving ratings and written reviews, especially if you like the podcast on the Apple Podcasts app or iTunes, on Spotify, and on Podchaser. All of those links are in the show notes. And I really look forward to season 2. We might have a slightly different focus, but I will still be here with you every single week, bringing you some Pilates goodness from the Pilates Goddess podcast. And once again, my friends, thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.